like to welcome everybody tonight. This is our November 27th regular Oscoda Township Board meeting. If we could begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get a roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings? Here. Ms. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Spencer?
Here.
Mr. Taser?
Present.
Mr. Sutton here. Mr. Wusterbarth? Mr. Palmer?
Here. Next up is the agenda additions, corrections. Does anybody have any additions? I would like to make one note. It's just a typographical error on the second page of the action items, numbers 6, 7, and 8, in the worksheet from the sheet from the superintendent. It has the correct numbers, but for number 6, the pay request should be number 6, and for item number 7, the pay request should be number 8, and for 8, it should be pay request application number 17. Those are the numbers that you'll see in the report. So, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with those notations?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with the corrections.
Support. Sutton?
We have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Agenda is accepted. We were scheduled to have a public hearing this evening regarding the Cedar Lake Improvement Board. Unfortunately, that was going to be brought by Mr. Wusterbarth, and unfortunately his father passed away this weekend, so he's not able to be here. So I think we will have to reschedule that to a later date and after the first of the year. Do we have a date specific?
January 22nd of 2024.
January 22nd.
You need a motion to that effect?
Yeah, we take a motion to postpone the public hearing.
I move to postpone the public hearing for the dissolution of the Cedar Lake Improvement Board until January 22nd, 2024.
Support. Sutton?
A motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. We will reschedule that public hearing. Next, public comment. We ask that you fill out a card, and please state your name when you come to the podium. Do we have any cards?
No, we do not.
No cards. Okay, thank you. Next is the consent agenda. Are there any questions about the regular meeting minutes from November 13th, the special meeting minutes from November 17th, and the budget work session minutes from November 20th? I think there were a couple of corrections that Mr. Sutton made and sent out to the board earlier today. Any questions on any of those?
Been here for the CLIB.
Next is the finances, payment of bills totaling $117,740.57. That is for prepaids for November 28th of $12,818.23, and the check run for November 21st, $104,922.34. Are there any questions on any items there? If none, I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Taser. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next, we have our subcommittee reports. First up is Mr. Freeman, engineering.
He's not here. He provided a report last meeting, so he just wrote up a brief report.
I see there is a brief report in the packet.
And there's a correction to that. Actually, did he give the correct? Yeah, never mind, he corrected it already, so
Okay.
never mind.
Did anybody have any questions about his report? Brief, just things are on track and moving along.
No questions.
Next is the airport board. I would just report they have a lot of things going on at the airport. USA Jet is expanding their occupation. They've taken over another hangar out there. They're expanding their business. The airport has been working on crack filling and sealing, runway and taxiway painting, getting everything up to date out there. They held an online salvage auction for a 727 jet for scrap, and they thought at best maybe they would get a couple of $100. It got into a bidding war, and they ended up selling it for $29,000.
Nice.
So they did very well on that. The owner should be coming to get that before the end of the year. They are relocating parts of the snowmobile trail out there to protect the extraction wells that the Air Force will be putting in. So they're putting the snowmobile trail sort of along the fence line out there. And there is a new entrance from F-41 coming onto the base. That's about all I have for the airport. Planning Commission, Mr. Taser?
The Planning Commission hasn't met. Our last meeting was in October, so there's no updates there.
Okay. CBA, Mr. Spencer?
No updates.
LDFA, Ms. McGuire?
The perimeter road project came in under budget, so they were happy about that, to be able to do some other projects. And if you go online, you can check out the car. Let me get the correct wording here. See if I can find it. Should have had it ready. My bad. Car and Driver, December 2023, online for the 0 to 150 to 0 speed test that they had out here at the airport. There's a nice little video, talks about it, and showcases our area really nicely. So check it out.
Yes. Very interesting. It's a very cool cars out there. The EIC, Mr. Sutton?
No update.
The 911 Board, Mr. Spencer?
Next month.
USTRA, Ms. Klein?
Okay, at the last Huron Shores Regional Utility Authority meeting, we discussed the 2024 draft capital improvement and maintenance plan and the 2024 budget, which is in your packet for approval this evening.
Okay, very good. The RAB, Mr. Cummings?
No update since the last RAB meeting some weeks ago.
The Cedar Lake Improvement Board, Mr. Worcesterbart, and the Utility Subcommittee, Mr. Worcesterbart. I have no report there. Next up is our superintendent report.
All right, the CVTRS requires submittal of documentation to the state no later than December 1st, 2023, in order to receive the entire payment available for 2024. Board members may recall the Township has enrolled the Munetrix Financial Management and Reporting Service over the past few years. The service includes a module intended to offer assistance in preparing the CVTRS documents attached in your packet for review. The documentation includes an updated citizens guide, performance data, dashboard, debt service report, and projected budget report. In addition, there is a completed certification document including electronic signature. A significant portion of the information contained in the report is sourced from materials submitted to the state from which Munetrix extracts relevant data. This year, we should see a good increase due to the part they are adding for public safety as well. This report requires approval to be submitted.
And we do this every year.
Yes.
For everybody's information, the CVTRS stands for the City, Village, Township Revenue Sharing, which means the state sends us money, which is a good thing. Any questions, comments? I'll make a motion to approve submitting the CVTRS reports as presented and within the program deadline.
Support, Spencer.
Motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Spencer. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next up is the row invoices.
Okay, your packet contains the following listed invoices from Rowe Engineering for services rendered. These invoices require Township Board approval. The first invoice you will notice is Iosco Exploration Trail once again. It will also require two actions. The first action to be the approval of the payment for $32,050.75. And the second would be to approve appropriations to the Fund 101-751-880.572 to cover that payment.
Okay, any questions regarding this payment?
I did speak with the engineer. We do have another reimbursement coming for all these that we've appropriated for. So that money will be replaced into the general fund when it is received. But these have to be paid first.
So these are coming from some of the grants that we were awarded for the bike path.
Yes.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the payment of $32,050.75 for the Iosco Exploration Trail to be paid to Rowe Engineering from account 101-751-880.572.
Support, Sutton?
I have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
I move to approve appropriations to Fund 101-751-880.572 in the amount of $32,050.75.
Support, Cummings.
Thank you. That's good, you did that all in one breath.
It's a short sentence.
And I'm long-winded.
I have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is invoice 110-983.
So you will notice that normally this is after reimbursement is deposited into the account, but hopefully this one, because it's smaller and we do have money left over, if funds are available, we could pay this row invoice. Out of the C2R2. Sorry, I forgot that part.
Any questions?
The funds are available, left over in the account?
I believe there are funds, correct?
There are funds that, yep, there are funds there, but we had sat down and talked about, because we had paid payments that we shouldn't have paid because other ones didn't get paid, and so other contractors were having to wait, so I thought we were going to wait until we got reimbursed to make the payments. We're not doing that now?
Well, we have extra funds, and this being a smaller bill, I just thought we could get it out and get it
Okay.
paid.
As long as it, yeah, if you.
Because the others
track of
were.
it.
Are all those other contractors caught up on?
Everyone is paid. Everyone's paid, except for the two we're waiting for reimbursement, which are the larger.
Yeah, we're still waiting for reimbursement for somebody to pay people.
Okay.
Any other questions on this invoice? I will make a motion to move to approve paying row invoice 110983 in the amount of $4,445.20 to be paid from the C2R2 account once funds are available.
Where do you see 20 cents?
What was that?
You said $4,445.20, right?
Those are 2 zeros. I can't read my own
Okay.
writing here. I'm sorry. $4,445 even.
Support, Spencer.
Motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Spencer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the row CWSRF proposal.
All right. For those of you who weren't here the last meeting, your packet contains a proposal from Row Engineering for the upcoming 2024 CWSRF application and construction design. Details for the design process have been listed out in the proposal, along with the total cost, which includes the application process. The total cost proposed for design engineering services for the 2024 CWSRF is $882,400. Ms. McGuire and I sat down. As you know, this needs to be paid before we will have the CWSRF application complete. So I sat down with Ms. McGuire. We discussed where the money could come from, and after our discussion, we are going to turn in some investments and work with the CPA and have Mr. Sutton move the money, so we will be able to pay for this process along with the two next processes on my report.
Okay. And do you have a fund number where this will come from that we should include in the motion, or just from the general fund?
I do not have that yet. We haven't done the money move
Okay.
yet.
The majority of the investments that we're going to be turning over are common ones, which means they cover everything in the general fund. So it's a long list of numbers. And so what will happen is they'll go from the cash number, which ends in 33003005005. It's going to go to that cash number from the investment number for the cash. And then Josh is going to have to get with Lisa to help him with that, because it's going to have to be a due to, because of all those different funds, because we're actually going to be lending the money to the water and sewer fund and then be reimbursed in the middle of the year. Correct, Tammy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For that, and then I will put it back into the investments.
Once we get it from this.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
That's good.
I just want to thank Ms. Klein and Ms. McGuire for working on that so we can pay this to get it started. These are good projects that we need to get completed. Do I have a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the proposal submitted by Rowe Engineering for the 2024 CWSRF application and design services in the amount of $882,400.
I'll support that if you make it the DWSRF.
That's next.
Isn't that?
It says C.
Oh, then I support it.
Thanks.
I have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Spencer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the Row DWSRF proposal.
Okay, this time it is a proposal for the 2024 DWSRF, which is Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Application and Design Services from Rowe Engineering. Details of the scope of work have been listed in the proposal, along with the total cost in the amount of $828,500. I would ask that the board consider the proposal submitted by Rowe Engineering for the 2024 DWSRF application and design services in the amount of $828,500.
Any questions about this item?
Is it the 828,000 or 882,500?
Yes, I messed up the
second number's
numbers at
incorrect.
the end.
Yes.
The second number in there is?
Yes, it should be 828.
Any other questions, comments? I will make a motion to approve the road proposal for the 2024 DWSRF application and design services in the amount of $828,500.
Support, Sutton?
A motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the downtown water main project.
Okay. As most of you may recall, the township has been awarded funding through Senator Peters' office for infrastructure improvements. The project that was applied for was the replacement of the old water mains throughout the downtown area from River Road, starting at the Oscoda Beach Park, going west to Mill Street, and most of the east side of US 23 between Michigan Avenue and Park Street, and installation of additional fire hydrants. Rowe Engineering has submitted a proposal for design engineering services for this project in the amount of $501,200 and is reimbursable through Senator Peters' funding. I would ask that the board consider approving the design engineering services proposal for the downtown water main project in the amount of $501,200 from Rowe Engineering.
It's $500,000 just to engineer it?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I do have a sample piece that John Henry Construction has pulled from the section they have just redone. I have a piece of 4-inch wood water main, if you'd like to see that.
Yeah.
It was
When they
abandoned in
redid
place,
23
but
and dug up a bunch of that stuff
Yeah.
too.
That's what they used.
I was just kind of surprised. I mean, it's an awful lot of money just to draw it up, but make a motion to approve the design and engineering services proposal for the downtown water main project in the amount of $501,200.
Support Cummings.
Well, just as a note, they design it, plus they also oversee the work while it's being done.
And that's included in the
That's
price, or
included in
that's?
that.
Oh, all right.
this is also, just so you know, includes the section of water main that goes under the river.
Oh,
Oh,
Yes.
well, that's important. to say.
okay.
That takes some special engineering.
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
From that one.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we find some water loss there. in that section.
I believe we will.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And as long as it doesn't affect the level of the river.
May take the river down. We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. This will be a good project to get done. We'll get the water mains, water lines in the downtown so we can put fire hydrant in the appropriate size water mains, 8-inch lines. Next is the pay request number 6.
All right, your packet contains the 6th pay request in the Phase 3 water main project in the amount of $342,217.60, which will complete this project. I would ask that the board consider approving the 6th pay request from Cotterman Trucking Incorporated in the amount of $342,217.60 to be paid from C2R2 funds after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account.
Any questions, comments on this? This is the final payment, so this project is complete, which is good. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the pay request number 6 for Cotterman Trucking in the amount of $342,217.60 to be paid from C2R2 after funds have been requested and deposited into the township's account.
Support Cummings.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the pay request number 8.
Your packet contains the 8th pay request in the Phase 5 water main project in the amount of $439,627.33, which will also complete this project. I would ask that the board consider approving the 8th and final pay request from Elmer's Crane and Dozer in the amount of $439,627.33 to be paid from the C2R2 funds after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account.
Questions, comments?
I would make a motion to approve the 8th and final pay request for Elmer's Crane and Dozer Incorporated in the amount of $439,627.33 to be paid from the C2R2 funds after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account.
I will support that. We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Palmer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the pump replacement project, request number 17.
Okay, your packet contains the 17th pay request in the pump station replacement project in the amount of $52,495.40, leaving a total of $60,295.40 remaining for this project. I would ask that the board consider approving the 17th pay request from RCL Construction in the amount of $52,495.40 to be paid from the CWSRF checking after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account.
And again, this is a project that's nearing completion.
Make a motion to approve the pay request from RCL Construction in the amount of $52,495.40 to be paid from CWSRF checking after reimbursement is requested and deposited into the township's account.
Support, Sutton?
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the shared service agreement.
All right. The contracts which govern provision of services by Oscoda Township to Osable Township are updated each year through addenda to accommodate budget appropriations for the upcoming 2024 fiscal year. To that end, board members will find attached updated documents which reflect calculations based on the proposed fiscal year 2024 budgets. The methodology for the 2024 shared services calculations remains consistent with 2023 calculations. Authorization is being sought for the clerk and supervisor to execute the service contract addenda as attached, subject to concurring approval of Oscoda Township. I had a very good meeting with Mary Jo, for those of you who were at the budget work session. She sat, I had Bob sat in so he could learn because this is his first year. It went very well, and I believe I answered all her questions to satisfaction. So,
This is our annual contract we have with Oscoda for fire and police and cemetery services
yes,
that we renew every year.
yes.
The calculations are consistent. Has the contract changed other than in any other ways?
Pardon me?
It says that the calculations remain consistent, but has the contract changed in any other way other than numbers?
Value.
They added any verbiage anywhere else or nothing
No.
changed? Just checking.
Identical contract.
Just have to recalculate the cost every year
Yes,
because our costs go up.
yes, yes, I did have to explain our increases, especially for fire,
Yeah.
but they were very understanding once I explained the reasons why those went up. So,
Okay.
I would make a motion to provide authorization for the supervisor and the clerk to execute the service contract addenda as attached.
Support, Cummings.
And that'll be subject to approval from Oscoda Township.
Of course.
Yes, I include that in my motion, subject to the approval of Oscoda Township.
All right. We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next, resolutions. Next is Resolution 2023-24, sanitary sewer rate increase.
so this is our annual sewer rate increase, which is 2% this year. After having a conversation with Baker Tilly, who did our rate study, we are right on line to keep supporting our budgets for water and sewer, which is, water comes next, but it's just a 2% increase this year.
And some of the proposals that we have approved previous to this for the sewer pump improvement program for several $1 million through the SRF program. This helps to pay for that.
Yes,
So during our sewer and water analysis several years ago, they took into account work that you have to do on your system to maintain it year over year for the next, until, I think it's projected out to 2040,
yes,
what the rate increases. And I believe the first couple of years, we had sort of a large increase
13%.
because in previous administrations, years past, they had gone for years with no increases in the sewer and water. And according to Baker and Tilly, you have to have some increases every year just to pay for the maintenance of this and upkeep of the system, if you want to keep the toilets flushed and the water flowing. So we've got it down to where now the next number of years, I believe, it's just a 2% increase.
Yes, I attached those rates also. They're below in your packet, right below the sewer resolution.
Any questions from the board?
I would make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-24 to establish sanitary sewer rates. Readiness to serve charge for the sanitary sewer system shall be increased from 25.78 per month to 26.79 per month, and the commodity charge thereof be increased from $5.25 per 1,000 gallons to $5.36 per 1,000 gallons. This adjustment will become effective January 1st, 2024.
Is there support?
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Taser. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the Resolution 2023-25 relating to the water rate increase.
Okay, so this year's increase will be 3.5% on the water rates. Again, it keeps us in line to support our infrastructure improvements. We're actually doing quite well also, from what I understand. I had to send them what we've done this year so far with our increases, what we've brought in, and we're doing very well. They were actually kind of surprised on the sewer side, but the water side even as well.
Good.
So,
What you mean by doing well is the accumulation of funds?
Yes.
Collected by
Yes.
the rates increases. Okay, thank you.
Anybody have any questions on this? Is there a motion?
I would make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-25, water rate increase. The readiness to serve charge for the water shall be increased from 14.96 per month to 15.48 per month, and the commodity charge thereof be increased from 0.594 per 100 gallons to 0.615 per 100 gallons. This adjustment will become effective January 1st, 2024.
I'll support that. We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Palmer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is Resolution 2023-26, relating to the increase for the supervisor salary.
this is just the annual increase of 2%.
That's been typically over the years what these increases have been, 2%
Yes,
year over year.
yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2023-26.
Support? Sutton?
We have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
Bless you.
Next is Resolution 2023-27, Township Officer Salary for the Clerk.
I have to jump in on this. We've been talking about rate studies for pay for our board, for the full-time board members. And I'm no wage study expert, but I did do a little searching around, and I found that the average salary for a treasurer and clerk is over $100,000. So I have a question about when's the last time we did anything for the clerk and the treasurer's offices that wasn't a standard percentage yearly increase?
Never.
Well, then I would like to, I don't, I mean, we're not the biggest township, obviously, but I do believe that, that we should be a little bit closer to the average for those offices. And to that end, I would like to propose the clerk's salary be bumped all the way up to $7,250, and the treasurer's salary be bumped to $6,250.
I'm sorry, to what?
$62,500 a year.
Typically, the treasurer and clerk have always had the same salary. Those positions are, state statute defines what the responsibilities are for each office. And we have always, and if you look at the MTA guidelines, it says that while the duties of the treasurer are fewer in number, they're very important because the treasurer handles all the money that comes into the township, also assesses the taxes. Those are all statutory duties of the treasurer's office.
Do we have documentation that shows that we would be in line with keeping those salaries the same with all the other townships in the state? Anything
I don't
like
think
that?
we haven't done any kind of a rate study, but at our work session, Ms. McGuire requested that we take a look at her salary, and if you see in the next resolution has to do with the treasurer's salary.
That's why I'm bringing up both
And
offices.
she's requested 61.5. My suggestion is that if we're going to make an increase, that the clerk and treasurers remain at the same salary, whatever that is. The clerk's office, if you look at the guidelines, has a lot more things that they have to do, but none of them are more important than what the treasurer does in handling all the township's money. So that's why we've always kept the two salaries the same.
Well, should we split the difference and put them both at 65 or 68,000 a year?
Well,
I gotta jump in here. So first of all, I don't think our duties, he has more duties than I do, because you're not taking into account, we take in over $1 million a year for Old Orchard Park alone. We are very unique as a charter township, and I actually went out and I kind of looked at a couple of different places that I know are comparable to us as far as, I know with the city of Alpena, for instance, the salary for the clerk treasurer is right around, for beginning, like, first step is $73,000. I think maybe what you're thinking, Jeremy, is more of a finance director, which that's more somebody that can make all the entries into the general ledger without any questions, without any help from the CPAs. That's basically what the finance director does. And there's a lot of positions out there that do that. But I think those salary ranges, that kind of rings that bell, honestly, in my opinion. I looked at also Tawas City. They don't pay their clerk and the treasurer the same amount. And that figure, but they only have a $3 million budget, is only $28,000. This last year for our budget was $33 million because of all the different grants that we've been facilitating. And we've got some very large ones coming up again, which is why I was asking for an increase for myself. The other reason I was asking for the difference between the clerk and the treasurer's position is because I've took a 3-year program back in 2003 and graduated through CMU for the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Institute. I've also have 2 accreditations for Municipal Certified Public Finance Administrator and a Michigan Certified Public Treasurer. And I continue my education, which has always been one of the big things that this board has been proactive for, which I appreciate because it brings a lot of information to the township. So I think that there can be a difference, and I do know for a fact that you can change it, and if I don't run next year and somebody new comes in, then you change it to where you think that it should be. You can lower it. You just can't lower it during the term, during the 4-year term. You can raise it anytime you want to, you just can't lower it.
Yep.
Well, that's good. I still think that the offices that are in our township are being paid too little, both the treasurer and the clerk. I think that there's a difference in the amount of duties required for each office, and I think that there should probably be a little bit of a pay difference because of that. But at the board's request, we can set it how, But I do believe that these numbers here they're too low. Too low. You guys are doing way too much for the township. There's way too much stuff that you're required to do, and it needs to be more than that. It needs to be $62,500 minimum for each office.
any other comment?
Yeah, I'll comment and say that I'm in agreement that I think we've underpaid these positions for some time. As far as the number goes, I can't say for a second that I've done any kind of a rate study. I'm speaking purely from the viewpoint of what seems to make sense. These are full-time positions, and I think I could venture to say, and then some, particularly when you get into those points of the year where you're dealing with either elections for the clerk or the 2 major waves of effort by the treasurer to get taxes out and collected, the bills out, that is to say, and collected. So And it's not that that's the only thing that she does every, twice a year. There's a lot going on in between. So I just have always thought that it seemed odd that they were the same and so low. So I concur with what Jeremy's bringing up here. As far as the number that he proposed, what was it, 65?
62,500 minimum for each office.
I would say that's a good minimum, but I'd say that, if it went higher, I would also not be opposed.
I agree.
Well, right now, we're on Resolution 2023-27 for the clerk. Is there a motion?
We can change the salary in the motion and have the resolution reflect that, yeah?
Yes.
Correct.
Well, I would say I would move to approve resolution number 2023-27 to establish the officer's salary for the clerk, and with the salary being set to $65,000 a year.
I'll support that.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
No.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is Resolution 2023-28, treasurer's salary.
We're making a motion to approve resolution number 2023-28 and change the treasurer's salary to $62,500 a year. I think it should be 65. I amend my motion to make it 65, and keep it even with the clerk at the supervisor's.
I support that. Cummings.
What was the number?
$65,000 a year, even with the clerk at this time.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is Resolution 2023-29, the officer's salary for trustees.
I would make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-29 as written.
Support?
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Taser. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next item is the Jeff Linderman reimbursement request. And I will leave this up to Ms. McGuire and Mr. Sutton.
All right, what we're looking at, we've been back and forth on a couple different things. We have the board protocol, and then Ms. McGuire found, put up here, Resolution 2008-12. And the resolution states that it shall remain in effect until modified by resolution of the Oscoda Township Board of Trustees. And then when we first took office at our first meeting, we passed the board protocol, and the two policies have conflicting amounts in the way we would pay reimbursements. And we're basically bringing this to the board for clarification, so we know how the board would like to pay those reimbursements, because I guess the questions arose with this, with the board protocol being board protocol manual. That was just passed as the manual itself, where this resolution is passed as a resolution. But then again, this one kind of binds us to the prices you have in there, and our new policy was included in the packet from the board protocol, which shows the per diem per CONUS. So what we're looking for is some clarification. So basically, how you guys between these think they should be handled? Do you think that resolution is still upheld with the protocol manual, because we're having issues when we do reimbursements with some people doing receipts, some people doing the per diem based out of town, some people turning in receipts less than what the per diem would be that would be paid, some people turning in more and getting less. So we just really like some board direction on how we would pay these.
In my opinion, the resolution trumps the protocol packet, period. It's a resolution, the other one's the protocol.
So.
But this is old and needs to be updated as well, so.
Okay, but that's really not the question?
Correct. That's
Okay,
right. You're
so
right.
what happened is in our PO system, this reimbursement came through, and I did not want to okay it because Mr. Linderman put in here, he provided his receipts, he asked for a reimbursement for an example of $13.39. Josh crossed it off and put $26. So he was going to reimburse him more than what he had submitted for reimbursement, which doesn't make any sense at all.
Right.
I mean, it's an up to an amount. You don't pay, I mean, how would you even record that? You know,
Right.
you're basically giving away taxpayer money. So I questioned it and I had to cancel it several times, denied it because I didn't get an answer. So I went over to Josh and I decided that we would bring it to the board and let the board decide. So, because,
So this is written per the protocol manual. This document in the packet is per the protocol manual, but it does not reflect the resolution, is what you're saying.
well, there's a couple of different things there.
Was the board protocol manual adopted by resolution?
No.
No, it's a vote. It's not law. Law is resolution.
Yeah, this absolutely
But,
takes part.
but when
this is
the,
trump card right here.
I wasn't on the board then, but when the protocol manual was adopted, that's what everybody wanted to see was that amount, and we just never went back and changed the resolution.
We need to update the resolution, correct?
Yeah, Jamie's absolutely
Yeah,
right.
because when you read this
because this
versus
is-
our out of
Within
town
our-
in the manual, it's two different ways to pay. This one's telling us we should pay by receipt, this one's saying you should just pay a per diem base.
So I would,
Well,
I mean,
pay a per diem, even if you're paying a per diem, Josh,
Yeah.
you pay up to that amount. You don't
Right.
pay it automatically.
But
You
it
don't get
doesn't say that
26.
in our protocol.
Well, that's just common sense.
Well, what does the
Well,
word
the
per
way-
diem mean?
The protocol manual says when traveling out of town overnight, officials will receive a per diem allowance for meals rather than submitting a request for individual meal reimbursements. No receipts are required for meals reimbursed under this section. The daily per diem rates, meals shall be at the standard CONUS rate established by the US GSA. And if you go down, those rates are there.
Correct.
And that's what it says. There's no misinterpretation there. It says they will be paid that per diem rate.
That doesn't make any sense. Well, and I'm sorry, but I
Well,
don't
why
think we
did
should
it-
be following
Why did it
that.
make sense for us to change it for Bob's per diem rate, but now you don't want to accept that
Because
policy when we're
Bob-
doing it for Jeff?
Because Bob, and I have the bill right here, he had more than one meal during a day, and he spent way over the $26, so he should get the $26.
Right.
Jeff didn't spend the $26.
Right, so at this
Okay.
point, what are we following? The board protocol or the resolution?
I think we have
That's
to
what
follow-
we're looking for.
we have to follow-
You would reimburse the receipts that he submitted,
Yeah.
because he
that's-
submitted the receipts. So you would pay him what he submitted.
But per our policy, it said you would not. Receipts would not be required. That's what I'm asking.
Well,
Number 4 states.
I see that.
How I did those reimbursements, and we all went over it, and now we have a resolution contradicting that. So my question to the board is, do you want us to go by number 4 for this request, or are we going by the resolution? Or are we updating the resolution? How would we like to proceed? So I can give reimbursement to Mr. Linderman for his August trip. That's my question.
I think every reimbursement that anybody turns in should have a receipt with it. I'm sorry, this is taxpayer money. This isn't the federal government. It's a charter township. You should be turning in receipts that you're getting reimbursed for. So I think the whole thing needs to be changed and modified.
Well, and that's it.
And that's the way it used to
Yeah.
be, because, I mean, common sense tells
I
you
agree
you're
with
not
that.
just gonna
I
hand
do,
out
but-
$26.
But at the same time,
I
they're
agree,
changing
yeah.
the way that this works to lower the amount of paperwork that you have to do.
I don't
So
care.
you
I would
pay
rather do the
$27,
job.
it doesn't matter how much they spent. If they want to spend more than that, they can. If they want to spend less than that, they can. They don't have to keep the receipt, they don't have to submit it. The way that we were going to do it, which you did vote for at the time,
Yes, I did.
but now we have a resolution that says that that doesn't matter.
That's right.
So we have to follow this. And unless I don't know if we as a board can vote to override this, or if we have to change it and then reimburse him and make it back and backdate it, the resolution, so that it takes effect.
You can reimburse him what he has submitted but he needs to be reimbursed what he submitted the receipts for.
I agree with your point, Jamie.
Let's just start with that.
Yeah, I agree with your point on that.
And then address the bigger issue of updating the resolution, because
Yep.
obviously we are already going over the board protocol,
Yep.
and we were going to go over the hot topics at the next meeting, and I know this was going
I
to
would
be
say
one
it's
of
a
them.
hot topic then.
Well, the resolution calls for a dollar amount for reimbursement rates for meals for local areas and then for out of area. And so it has an amount of $40 per day. I think to Ms. McGuire's point, that's the maximum. That doesn't mean you have to pay $40. If they only spend $20
Correct.
a day, then, and they bring in the receipts, you'd get paid for the receipts you bring in.
Yes.
The $40 or the $26 or whichever amount you want to look at is, Ms. McGuire pointed out, the maximum we can reimburse, not what has to be reimbursed. I think that's where the confusion maybe comes
Right.
in.
But the resolution doesn't say that they have to submit receipts to show the
No.
purchase price either.
Correct.
It just says if they're within 50 miles, they get $17, and if they're out of the 50 miles and it's a full day, it's $40 for the day. So,
But it doesn't say you don't have to either, though, so.
right, but you can't just say, oh, well, I just want receipts. So it has to say that you're going to take receipts. You can't just make things up as we go. You know, I mean, and if it doesn't ask for it and it doesn't say either way, then
I guess.
Because I guess looking at this,
I
my
guess
question
taking
would-
my oath of office where
Yeah.
it says that you're supposed to safeguard the taxpayers'
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
I would say I would want to turn in a receipt just to
I
cover
agree.
myself.
I don't think Mrs. McGuire
I guess my
I don't think Ms.
question here
McGuire
is
has asked
now-
for anything unreasonable. I think receipts is acceptable. It's a reasonable thing for any accountant, any person in a bookkeeping capacity anywhere who's
Yeah,
going to be dealing
they're
with a
gonna
check would want to have. I don't think that's a
We're a charter
debatable point.
township. We're not a
Well,
federal
that's what we're
government
looking for, because
agency.
here, this doesn't say receipts either, and this changes the amount to $40 per day, full day.
But how do you prove this is where it comes back. How do you prove if you're doing an expense report,
Right, no.
what you've
that's-
actually spent? I
Yeah.
mean,
well, that's the
That-
thing,
that
is if
was
there
a
is no
valid
expense
question when I
report,
talked
you
to
don't
Jamie,
prove it.
is
You just
if
get
you give
this.
it to
But
the auditor,
nobody
how do
said
you
that.
account
That's
for it?
what it says.
It's-
$40 for the full day.
If I could
You find
interject
8 hours
here,
more.
could we have this reviewed by the attorney? Maybe that would solve
And give
the
us-
whole thing. Because a lot of the things we refer to the board protocol for, and anytime I ask a question of the attorney, she asks me what is in our board protocol. So that is a very binding document. If we could just, and I tried to text her right now, I've been waiting for a response to stop the argument. I think that we should find out which one we have to follow legally.
Okay.
And
I'm
then-
going to end the, I appreciate that.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm going to make a motion that we pay Mr. Lindeman the reimbursements that he submitted with his receipts, the amounts, and also have Tammy check with the attorney to revamp the resolution for the per diem and mileage allowance modifications.
As well, would you
I
add the
support that.
protocol manual? Add a review of the
Right,
protocol
yes.
manual.
Well, we're already in the process of doing that, yes.
Right,
And see
okay.
which one is supposed to be law,
I
which I
was-
believe is the resolution.
I
but
agree.
I support Jamie's motion.
Thank you.
So just for clarification, your motion is to pay Mr. Lindeman what he's requested based on his
Receipts.
mileage and his receipts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct?
Based on the resolution.
For the resolution,
Yeah, well,
that's my problem.
I know, I understand, but based on his receipts then, so
I
that's what
think
the motion
I think the basis of the resolution is to set a limit.
Correct.
How much we can pay. And you determine how much you pay based on the receipts that they turn in, even though it doesn't say that specifically in there, but I think that's the way it's always been handled.
It is. And
I typically, when I go to a conference, I don't turn in for meals because I figure I would eat anyway. So I don't turn in receipts for meals. But if someone does turn in for meals, they turn in receipts for that, and they're limited by what the resolution says, up to $40 per day. So this is not over $40, so I would say we should pay Mr. Linderman what he's requested, which is within reason. Okay. We have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. We'll get Mr. Linderman paid. Next up is the Westboro budget.
This is talking about.
So,
Talking about the overall adjustment for the whole resolution.
we have the HUSHRA budget,
Deems it necessary and appropriate to adjust.
where if you look, our cost for water for next year has gone down approximately $4,000 to $5,000, which is pretty good. We now are up to 55.74% of HUSHRA, the HUSHRA budget. But they actually went down, so we're doing better. So.
Any questions, comments? That's your budget. I will make a motion to approve the Huron Shores Regional Utility Authority 2024 draft budget as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Ms. McGuire. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next up is the Economic Improvement Committee member dismissal. This has to do with Ms. Mariette Tuden.
So my question on this, Mr. Palmer, is why wasn't her name stated in the agenda for this topic?
I don't know.
Okay, well, who put it on the agenda?
I did.
Okay, why didn't you provide a name?
I did not want to appear to be smearing anyone, so,
So we're going to wait until now to do it?
no, I have not said one bad word.
No, but
So-
obviously the appearance of a name in an agenda is smearing, but we can do it now in discussion.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a matter of knowing whether or not you should show up to a meeting to defend yourself. You know, it's just a sort of an underhanded approach to,
There's nothing underhanded
It
at
is
all.
when you don't
This
put a name in
discussion-
Ms. Klein.
This discussion has been had with myself, Mr. Palmer and Ms. McGuire and Ms. Tootin. This has been ongoing.
yes, but the ongoing did not result in this. The ongoing was when? When was the last time you spoke to her?
I have not. She refuses to speak to me directly.
There we go. Making it up on the fly. Okay. Thank you. Heard enough.
I would say this brings me no pleasure to have to remove somebody from a board. We have openings on a number of boards. It's important to have citizens, residents, be on boards to help guide the township. It's important. But when one person seems to believe they're more important than the other board members and tries to put together sort of a coup to overthrow the chairman of a board by talking to other board members to get their approval and voting off the chairman, and then you get other members of that committee who don't want to play those games and are talking about resigning. You end up that being a cancer, and then when you have people leaving those boards, the board dies. So it brings me no pleasure to have to remove somebody from a board because we need people to be on these boards. But when those members get out of control and believe that they are more important than the board itself or the committee itself, I think that's when the board needs to take action. Ms. McGuire and I sat in. I asked Ms. McGuire to attend when I spoke with Ms. Tootin on the second time that there were complaints. And I'll let Ms. McGuire say what she told me after the meeting was she wasn't going to change, I think is your exact words.
Yeah.
So that's why we brought this to the board. It's a board decision.
So it is no secret that I've known Ms. McGuire, excuse me, I've known Ms. Tootin for some decades. I am not here at this point to protect her. What I'm interested in is some of the outpoints, one of which I've already raised, which had to do with the lack of transparency about who was actually being discussed here for this item. So that has already been established. Now, as far as the infractions that you described, Bill, I can't speak to any of those because I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm not involved in any of the discussions. And you know, quite frankly, if a person isn't going to behave, you know, amicably or, you know, in a cooperative group fashion, then I understand the point. That isn't, I think, anything that I'm trying to alter, defend, or any of that here. What I'm more concerned about is, you know, the EIC has been a committee that I know Ms. Tootin has been on for, I guess it's been since about this time last year, seems like. It's been about a year or so. And I know in the last 5 meetings, the meetings have been canceled. And I know just like, there have been other people, not just necessarily people on the EIC, but there's really been no real communication to the public as to why these meetings are being canceled. We know that the Planning Commission is being canceled as well. We don't get a lot of explanation on that publicly either, although I might be able to surmise as a board member as to why that might be. But the concern here is just, you want to put volunteers on a committee, and there is an actual list of items that that committee can and was about to work on when these cancellations started earlier this year, just shortly after Mr. Dickerson's release. And, you know, reviews of bylaws, discussions about facade grants for next year, which is now, well, we're already too late for any of that because the facade grant that was originally drafted by the first draft writer, grant writer, was actually presented to the EIC in November of last year. And so we're way behind the 8 ball on this. So we're kind of in slow motion. And so I guess my point on this is that, you know, if somebody on a board who is volunteering and is caring about what their reason for being on that board is and what the board's trying to accomplish, then I don't see why the board and the public are being given such short shrift as to why the meetings are being canceled, because when I look in the paper, when I look in the packets, when I read my own board email, I don't see any explanations as to why we're canceling these meetings. Mostly being told, I think at one point, there's nothing to discuss. I think it was one of the common excuses. So I had a concern about that as well. But this is a separate point, I guess, from the topic that you raised. But it does, I think, add some color and background to why Ms. Tootin has been upset about the cancellation of meetings and why I read in my email that she sent, that Mr. Eiler forwarded to us, where I saw then for the first time her letter, and why she was looking to like ask him for his resignation because she couldn't understand why we're not getting anything done. And I think I have the same question, but I don't think it's Mr. Eiler at all. I think that was a sort of a shooting the wrong person, if you will. I think it's really got more to do with who's actually controlling these committees and the agendas, and who's actually responsible for slowing down progress. So that was my comment. Thank you.
I'm just going to say, I did sit in with the meeting, the second meeting. I don't know who attended the first meeting that you had, or...
Just her and I.
Okay. So, yes, I did sit in and spoke with Mary Ed and said that I thought that she had a lot of knowledge to share, and that I was disappointed in that, and I did vote no when she first was appointed on to the EIC for history on Facebook and different things like that. I had mentioned to Tammy and Bill, when we were talking, and he asked my thoughts, and I said that, you know, I did say this, and I didn't have a problem saying that to Mary Ed when we had our discussion, for sure. But I was concerned, had my concerns about it. And, you know, I will say that you've stayed off Facebook. I haven't seen you on there or anything, not that I'm on there a whole lot anymore, but, so I do think that there was progress made, but I was disappointed when I heard some of the things that were going on, and I got the email from Mr. Eiler.
Yeah.
Any other board comment?
I do have a little bit that I'm a little concerned about, and that would be over a year ago, Ms. Tootin presented herself as a developer of properties. And then is my understanding also that she has some type of a relationship with another developer. And I personally don't think that would be, I think that's a conflict for an EIC member. We're talking about economic development that deals with developers all the time. And I just think that that's a conflict. I also don't, I read those emails from Mr. Eiler, and I thought that was improper. I feel strongly that was improper. First of all, the Economic Improvement Committee does not have the authority to remove the chairperson. It's not in the bylaws. I thought that was pretty backdoor politics going on there, and I didn't appreciate that. I think Mr. Eiler was highly offended by that. If there were charges that Mr. Eiler wasn't doing his job, then that should have come from the board representative, which is Mr. Sutton, on that EIC committee, to bring that to our attention. That hasn't been brought to our attention, but there's been multiple times that other things have been brought to our attention, and I'm in favor of removal. So I think it was misconduct and insubordination there.
Any other comments? Questions? Is there a motion?
I will move to remove Ms. Tootin from the Economic Improvement Committee.
I will support. Motion by Mr. Taser, support by Mr. Palmer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
No.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. That's all the business that we have to conduct for this evening. Next is public comment. So is there anybody
Right
have a
there.
hand up?
Right here, put your hand up.
Kelly?
Over here.
Oh, get to him.
Somebody go first.
So tonight I would like to read you a prepared statement that I made. First
state
off,
your name, please,
yes,
for the record?
sorry, Kelly Brown, Oscoda. The mission statement from the Oscoda Township Board Protocol. The Charter Township of Oscoda is the government entity responsible for creating the environment to improve the quality of life for its residents and opportunities for its businesses to thrive. It creates and maintains the organizational and physical infrastructure of the community to engage residents and help its businesses continually adjust to the ever-changing economic climate. The township is a steward of public trust, administrator of responsive and efficient government, and a champion of transparency that works to protect its citizens. Over a year ago, on November 5th, 2022, when I was serving as an appointed member of the subcommittee under the EIC, I made a formal complaint to the superintendent. We met for an hour and a half. I even sent her a detailed list of all the points we discussed and asked for this to be addressed with the board. And in return, I was decommissioned by the EIC. And when I brought this up to each of you, as well as subsequently to the new township supervisor this past May, I was still not given any follow-up. Not only did you not serve and protect the citizens from a rogue contractor that I clearly showed with FOIA documents he was not only not doing the job he was contracted to do, but also that the work he was prepaid to do, one instance to the tune of $3,300 for the transfer of documents on demand, was not completed. You had 5 months from the time I presented the info to get our money back, and you did absolutely nothing. Champion of transparency that works to serve and protect its citizens. Where are all the reports and investigations? Let's go back to May 10th of 2021. Via Zoom meeting, this board asked Mr. Friel, our attorney at the time, to start these investigations. Discussion around the social media policy and possible violation by a township elected official in its civility clause. This motion was made by Mr. Wursterbarth. Asking the board's approval for the township attorney to initiate an investigation of alleged workplace harassment within the township. Again, motioned by Mr. Wursterbarth. These passed, by the way, motion carried. Asking the board approval for the township attorney to draft and present a micromanagement policy for the township. Again, presented by Mr. Wursterbarth. All yeas, motion carried. February 14th, Mr. Wursterbarth made a motion and it was approved for harassment, slander, and liable issues for township employees and appointed commissioners. That was approved. And I quote from what Mr. Wursterbarth said during that recorded meeting. Our employees, contracted employees, and appointed commissioners, they volunteer and actually they get a small stipend. So technically, they're a township employee for a certain period of time. And I believe it's the board's responsibility to protect its employees, contracted employees, and commissioners that would love to get involved, but they don't because they don't want to go through the BS. It was approved for 10 hours at $175 an hour. Where's the report? Never seen the report, never heard about the report. January 23, prior employee complaint about toxic workplace environment. We got a 36-second statement versus over $20,000 that was spent. Speaking of public trust, at the last meeting it was appalling. Calling citizens liars by an elected official, and I quote, "because I'd like to have all the liars in the same place in front of a judge." I, as well as many other people from this township, want to know what is the end game of all this unnecessary chaos being conducted through this board and the administration. We're tired of it, and we're tired of the wasted time. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comment? Dr. Moore?
Thank you. My name is Scott Moore. I have the honor for the past 13 years serving as our district superintendent for our schools. I'm also the president of the Alternative Education Academy. I'm a Rotarian. Recently, I've been appointed to the Recycling Advisory Board, where Mr. Sutton's also a member, and wanted to thank the township for several things. One, it takes courage to be a leader and a public official. It's not easy in this day and age, and thank all of you for your service. Not saying I agree with everything, not saying I disagree with anything. All I'm saying is thank you. It's not easy. I also want to thank you for the partnership that we've established with the Oscoda Township Police Department. Can't say enough good things about the community resource officer and the huge impact that it's had. The transition from Sergeant Gallagher to Officer Klink has gone smooth due to the efforts of the department and a real positive endeavor. In conjunction with, I had the honor of going and seeing the Osable Township leadership board with Chief Bolin and with Officer Klink, and I feel that it was a very positive experience for all involved. So it seems that that partnership's starting to forge and be more galvanized, so we were encouraged by that. A couple pieces of positive information that I'd like to share with the board. As we're progressing ahead and we're wondering, well, how are the schools doing? How are things going positively, negatively? What do we have? Well, nothing's ever perfect anywhere, and it's not perfect at the school, but we're typically judged on three things: academic performance, how our economics are doing, and then in conjunction with that, we're also looked at public perception-wise, as all of us are. As far as our academic performance, in the past 2 weeks, we've gotten information from the state. They compare us to other school districts that are similar to us, based on our socioeconomic status determined by a free and reduced lunch rate and our enrollment size. Those districts are Benzie, Brandywine, Farwell, Gwynn, Morley, Stanley, Springport, Union City, and Vesterberg. We have the good fortune of reporting that we ranked at the top of all of those districts that are comparable to us, so we're very thankful. In addition to that, from a geographic perspective, we just found out this afternoon when the state released all the district information across the state. Our neighbors to the south, we're right here with them, actually right about here right now, so that's good. And when you look to the north, we're performing significantly well. So we have so much to be thankful for from a period of time when we didn't experience that academic growth. As far as economics go, in spite of those districts all having millage rates, when you look at their sinking fund and their bonds, you know, the state average is 4.5 mils when you add the two together. Those school districts are at 4.21 when you take us out of it. We're at 2.63 for a debt levy. So like not half, a little more than half, you know what I mean, than where we're at 2.63 as opposed to 4.21. And then when you look at our intermediate, out of 57 intermediates in the state, ours is funded 56th, which means one from the bottom. We anticipate in May that we are going to be, in May 7th, and I want to thank the members in the room who were fortunate to get your support to come out to the Facilities Improvement Committee meeting this evening. We're going to be going for a bond initiative most likely, and the board will be voting on that in December. It will be a renewal, so it should not result in new taxes. And as we go for that, there's going to be a lot of projects involved with it. Right at the top of the priority list is the asbestos abatement and the heat conversion at the high school, going from steam heat to a more conventional system that'll be much more economical and conducive to what we need to provide. After that, we're also looking at having a community center that will be a part of our school district, and we're super excited to have it where it would have a walking track and facilities for different court games, whether it be pickleball, volleyball, all of those types of activities. I don't want to go over my time, but there are a lot of other things that we're hopeful to get: playground equipment, furniture for our kids' desks that are in many cases 50, 60 years old. So thank you very much for your time. Happy to answer more questions later, but wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, guys. With the light. Any other comments? Yes.
David Carmona, citizen. Haven't been here in a few months. I've been busy with the play here. Thank you to those who came out and saw the show. Thank you very much. The last time I was here, I spoke about board governance and was explained very clear to me by Mr. Palmer how this board operates. So I did some studying. I've been looking at your protocols and your ethics. And there are certain things that are not defined in there. For example, tonight you remove somebody for misconduct. There's no clear definition in either the ethics or the protocol of what misconduct is for a board member or an appointed board member. I would think you would want to correct that. I could not find any clear definition of your hiring policy, which is what I spoke about originally. So it appears that under this model, that you're not protecting the township and our interests, nor your employees' interests, by not providing them the guidance that a board is supposed to provide through policy and governance for the CEO, our supervisor, to implement. And that's your job. As much as you chastise me for not understanding that, I'm beginning to see clearly that there is a lack of governance on the part of this board in certain areas. The discussion between the resolution, the GSA rates, and not a clear understanding of how GSA rates are established at the government level. Nobody brought that up. They do wide surveys of that and make a determination. So it appears as though there's a lack of knowledge or lack of information that's being provided either from your attorney, from other sources, that don't provide you the ability to provide the correct guidance to protect the interests of the people, the interests of your employees, and the interests of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I see no other hands. We'll go to board comment. I'd like to start by asking our superintendent if she has any comments to make.
I do. I would just like to inform the Township Board that I will not be accepting the money that was voted to obtain legal services on my behalf. I would like to extend a huge thank you to the board members that voted to show support on my behalf. It was greatly appreciated, but I will be pursuing legal action on my own.
Okay.
So thank you for the thought.
Yes. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Taser.
First of all, I'd like to thank all of our hardworking volunteers and our DPW for making our town look so festive looking for the holidays. I like to say that it's wonderful to see so many new businesses open and the amount of positive energy that is happening in our community. And on December 2nd is the annual light parade, and I am sure it's going to be a wonderful day of events leading up to the official welcoming of Santa to our town. So that would be my comment.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McGuire?
Just wanted to give a heads up. The State Tax Commission put out a bulletin, and the revision for the Disabled Veterans Acts and Senate bills have passed. They're going to have some big revisions where you're not going to have to resubmit your forms every single year after 2025. It also addresses some of the issues with the surviving spouse and with proration of selling and purchasing the home in the future. I have copies of those if anybody would like to stop and get one, or I could be happy to email it to you. I also brought some with me tonight in case anybody wants one. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cummings?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Spencer?
No, thank you.
Mr. Sutton?
I would just like to say I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, good time with their family, safe travels, and I hope that we're all ready for this weekend as our Northern Lights Parade and downtown festivities, so look forward to that. Anybody who's going to be in town, look for something fun to do and hang out with people in the community. We will all be down there, children, old people, and everybody in between. It's a great time. There's chili, there's hot cocoa, tons of smiles, lots of lights, and great atmosphere. So I look forward to seeing everybody Saturday for the parade and downtown festivities.
I hope we get some weather to cooperate with that.
Absolutely.
Good luck.
I would just like to remind everybody that's here and that's out in the audience listening, we have a number of boards that need people. It's important that we have residents step up. One of them that we're short, several that we're short on, the Board of Review. They have a meeting coming up. If you're interested in getting your feet wet in community service, the Board of Review is a good way to do that because they only meet a couple of times a year. There's no specific requirements to be on that board. You are required to get some training, but it's interesting training to learn more about how your taxes on your property are assessed and how all that works. So we need to, we're short a person on the Board of Review. I believe we're short on the EIC. We're short on the Oscoda Senior Center Housing Authority Board. Oscoda Township gets two members plus an alternate. Right now we have one, and she has No, we have two, but one is put in a resignation, but has agreed to stay on until we can find a replacement. So far, we haven't found that replacement. So we do need, I believe, the ZBA. We're short a person there, I believe. So, and one thing, I think we need to change in our webpage. I'd like to see us put a more standard application for commissions. I did have somebody call me about the senior board, the senior community center board, and I couldn't find an application for that on the website.
Well, it should be just a general application for
So
all
if-
boards.
If there's just a general application, I think that's what we need, that will apply for all the boards.
I think that's what.
That's what we
already there.
have.
Yeah, there is one.
Is that in
It's
there?
not,
That's all there is. Yeah.
Okay.
it's not the easiest to find. I know I PDF'd it for Jamie because somebody
Yeah, 'cause
asked
I
her
couldn't
about
find
it. And I
it.
just
Yeah,
sent
I-
it to her, told her to save just that application.
Yeah, I couldn't find it either. so.
Right on the front.
But we do need people, residents to step forward. The only requirement is that you're an Oscoda resident. And I know, a lot of people will stand up and complain about things that are going on in the township, and hey, none of us are perfect. I'd be the first to admit that. But that's why we need people to step up and be on some of these boards and commissions because they are advisory boards to this board. And some of the boards have their own authority under Michigan statute. So I would hope that some people, and I think we need to maybe put an application, a notice in the paper for some of these boards that we have openings on to get it out there in the community that, we need some help to get people involved. The other comment I would like to make is that the University of Michigan has beat that school from the south 3 times in a row. Go Blue! And with that, I will move to adjourn.
All righty.